Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today's video will be part of the one shelf at a time set, but as my whole weekend's changed, I'll say that in a minute, I will have to do that shelf as I water it. I won't have time to do it as sort of picking up the plants and having a look at them separately, so we'll do it as I go past. The reason being, I've got to water almost everything today. The mounts need doing, and the normal pots need doing, and you know that takes a fair while to do the whole lot. The reason it's come round like that is that I had already planned for Hannah to come down this weekend. That was already on the cards, but that normally means picking her up Saturday morning and taking her back late Sunday afternoon. Well, her work has changed round, so I'm actually picking her up tomorrow afternoon, Friday, after she finishes work. So we'll be home in time to, for tea, to eat sort of thing, and not much else. But because I don't have to leave till sort of just after lunch, I'll be able to do the Project Orchids video as scheduled on the Friday. So I'll be able to get that done and get that posted tomorrow morning. The plan on Saturday is for us to get on up and get some breakfast sorted and get up a garden centre and sort out some plants to go in the tubs to go round the garden for some, summer and autumn colour, so that the colour continues and does the job of looking after the bees and hopefully attracting the butterflies in during those months. So it's a matter of getting some suitable plants for bees and butterflies, getting them planted up and then positioning them round the garden. So Saturday's video, Hannah won't want to be in it, and to film that I won't be in it either, but towards the end of Saturday I'm sure I can whip round with the camera and show you what we've sort of planted up and where we've put it and that in the garden, so that you can sort of see. And that will almost be the last of the real work in the garden for this year, apart from right down the bottom where we've still got to hack that bamboo down and the spiky bush, but that's non-urgent, that really isn't. And then I'm taking Hannah back, probably she needs to be back for Sunday lunchtime. The reason being she's working. So I'll be back in time to do the Sunday chat, but it will be late on Sunday rather than sort of midday to mid-afternoon. I normally get that posted. It's more likely to be early evening because I've got to film it, and then process it and get it loaded onto YouTube. So that's the plans for the weekend. Subject to change, but it looks at the moment like we're going to have a really nice day on Saturday. The temperature's getting up and no rain forecast, so hopefully we can get these tubs planted up and get them positioned around the garden, and things will be looking good then. So those are the plans. So today's video will be one shelf at a time when I get to that shelf as part of my watering, and then it can go on the end of this and become today's video. And thanks for dropping by and everything, and I'll see you next time. Okay, we've got to sort of part two. I'm part way around watering, and the shelf I'm going to do is the top shelf in what would be the far left corner as you come in the door. It's mainly dendrobiums, but there's a few other things in there as well. I am watering them as I go, so those of you who don't like the clonking of the bowl with my glass, tough. If you want to have a look at the plants and hear about them, you'll have to put up with that in between each one. That's how it's going to be. Right, on this shelf are a lot of plants that don't stand up on their own. They have a tendency to fall, and as a consequence they tend to lean against something, including each other. So I might have a bit of difficulty getting them up here, but we'll do what we can. Right, here we go then. Right, so this is a new acquisition. This is an antelope type dendrobium, and it's in moss at the moment. It needs to come out of that moss, so I'm watering very carefully. But the new growth that was on it when I got it has failed, but it started a new one from that same old cane. So this plant is odd at the moment, very odd, because the new growth is coming out of a leafless cane. It's almost as though something's gone wrong with the front end of the plant, which might mean it will shoot out farther back. If it's happy in its environment, which is normally warm, you know, top end of intermediate into warm, so it's not as comfortable as it should be. It's also still damp, so it's not getting watered. There is a problem when that happens, because this is a feed run. That's now missed out on a feed run, but if I water it with the feed, it'll be too wet. So that's how it has to be. And the other one I got at the same time, let me just turn the kit off. There's enough distractions with the watering. That'll warm up again in a minute, it'll only drop a degree or two. Right, so this is another antelope type. This also has started a new growth on the front end of the plant. This is in a ring of coconut, like that, with a lot of roots down the outside and down the bottom of the plant. At the moment I'm leaving it like that. This came from Spice Exotic, and the guy actually said that a lot of these imports come in like this and people try and take the whole of that coconut ring off in one go. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to take a couple of sections off and then allow the plant to recover, because there will be damage. And then later take another couple of sections on and allow the roots to recover each time, not do it all at once. Well, I'm not doing any of it at the moment. Now this one obviously dries very quickly, and a lot of these roots are aerial, so this has to have a really good soak. Dries very, very fast. I pour a lot of water in through the holes in the basket and make sure this really gets a good soak. It sits in a holy clay pot, not because it needs to sit in a holy clay pot, but it won't stand up. It's very, very top heavy. So that's that one. So that's two antelope types. I'm trying them. I did try one before and it failed miserably. So I'm trying them again to see if I can get them to grow. This is Dendrobium primadonna. I've got a feeling this is one of our project plants, but this has already flowered in one place earlier this year. It's got two canes that grew last year that have yet to bloom. They may wait till next year, they may bloom later this year. This is coming into growth now. This is due a repot. Coconut husk and all that. So this will get a good water, try and push that growth on. For those that are interested, I'm currently feeding with MSU to 250 parts per million, topped up with calcium nitrate, which gives it a nitrogen kick for growing, and some calcium to back that up so that it doesn't become weak, up to 320 parts per million. So we're moving on to stronger feed now. It's growing season. Now I've only just noticed this is Dendrobium Aussiessweet crossed with Tapinense, which is a species, obviously. Well, not obviously. This has never bloomed for me. It's starting a new growth down the base here. A couple would be good. This is a Latoria type. So this is one that stays pretty dry in the winter because of the lower temperatures. It's also one that had scale really bad. And guess what? They are not here. Sorry, it's just another line from a film that it's just one of those lines that tickled me at the time and does every time I hear it. They are not here. No prizes for that one. Done it before. Now this is Dendrobium Alexandre, and I'm borderline considering it dead. There's no sign of life on it. It's lost all its leaves, and there's no active growth. It does, however, have some roots that look okay down one side of the pot. So as there's nothing to feed here, technically, that's all it gets. It's just a dribble down where those roots are. Don't think that's going to come back that way, but we shall see. Next are my, what is this? These are the Dendrobium kingianum berryoda kikis that were given to Hannah. They should start some new growth from the base soon if they're going to get going. It did actually bloom, this one. But they're kikis to grow on. Right. Another Latoria type. I think this is a Latoria type. This is Spectabile, and the blooms on this go with the name. They are spectacular. And again, we've got no signs of life at the base of the plant. It just isn't growing. It grew this growth last year, so it's a good strong growth. It's better than anything else on the plant. It's got its leaves, but it's not doing anything. So the fact that it's not doing anything, it doesn't get much water. Unfortunately, I'm not prone to having too lots of water on the go. Because technically speaking, this doesn't need any feed. It's not growing. But that's the water I've got on the go. So that's what it gets. If you sort of think, I mean, it is a species, if you think about it in the wild, you know, if there's quite a lot of heavy rain frequently, the feed would probably get weaker and weaker. And then if there was a little bit of a dry spell, there'd be some decay going on, and the first lot of rain would be quite heavy on the feed. It doesn't take any notice of what the plant's doing, does it? It gets what it's given. That's what happens here. They get what they're given. What have we got here then? Oh, this is a zygo. This is the zygo with the pale coloured blooms, the sort of bluey purpley coloured blooms without the deep reds or anything like that. It's got two new growths growing. I don't expect them to bloom. I don't want them to bloom. What I want them to do is produce roots and some nice swollen bulbs. So inactive growth. And hopefully in a media that in this current environment is suitable for pushing those growths on. Right, I'm running out of places to put stuff now, so I will water stuff and put it back on the shelf until such time as I can get everything back there. Now this is a Brassia, and this is Brassia. Is this the Sea Breeze? Yes, this is Varicosa Sea Breeze. The leaves on this old bulb have gone with a little bit of help, so that's now an old bulb. We've got some new growths starting. There's two there. There's another one in there. So three new growths coming on it. This is pieces. This was split up. Pieces to grow on, and each piece has sufficient back bulbs that if any of these new growths want to spike and bloom, they will be allowed to. But whether that will happen or not, I don't know. We might get possibly one spike. But the growths are on separate pieces. So although there's three of them, they're on three separate pieces. Each piece has two bulbs, one of which is leaved. Right, so that's that one. And then The next one is another brassica, or should I say the other brassica. I've only got two. Technically I've got 2.5. I do have a Shelob Tolkien, which is part brassica. This one is the Santa Barbara, and this has a new growth maturing here, another one here, and then out the front end we've got one here. We've got a couple of new growths coming. Again, this was a few pieces put in to grow on and bring back to blooming size. So new growths and maturing bulbs. This will automatically come into the feed and water well category. But the feed and water well category for this one would normally go with warmer temperatures than I've got. But it'll put up with the temperatures I've got. You know, it's not going to stop growing or anything, but it won't grow as vigorously as it would do up the warmer end of intermediate. So that's that one. Now we're getting to the silly stuff. The giants. Ugh. Now if all of these plants don't end up on camera, tough. I have got an awful lot to do, and I'm concentrating more on what I'm doing than what I'm filming, I'm afraid. So let me just get the water thrown in here. It's quite a large pot, but then it's quite a large plant. And this is Dendrobium thingy, Sweet Pinky Mamoto. Now this is a nobile type, and we have mature canes here and here that haven't bloomed yet. Now I don't know whether they're going to bloom this year or whether they're going to wait till next year. And talking of waiting, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be waiting to see. But it's a bit of a giant. It's 2/3 of a metre tall, top heavy, leans over to one side. They've got a lot going for it really, and no blooms on it at the moment. Ugh. Now that has to lean up against the window while I do the next two, because this next one leans on the next one. If you see what they all lean against each other with one that's sort of firmly planted. Now this is Dendrobium banana chocolate, and is currently my only Phalaenopsis type Dendrobium. And it bloomed on this growth, that's how we identified it, some old canes, and it grew this cane last year. I suppose you could say that cane might still be growing. It does look like there might be an embryo spike in there. You won't be able to see it, I doubt. But it's grown a lot of roots. It's in the smallest pot I can get it in, so that I can keep it nice and dry in the winter time, when my temperatures are lower than required for this type of plant. So how I get away with it is to keep it dry. But it does, you know, cease activity during that period. It doesn't really do a lot. So this is a problem when you get that sort of situation. If this throws up a new growth in sort of October, the only way that's going to grow is through the winter, and it's going to go virtually dormant in the winter, so I'd probably end up losing that new growth. It would end up being stunted. It just wouldn't go. So that's the consequences of having plants that are in the wrong temperature zone, really. Oh. Talk about top heavy. I hate to think how heavy this is going to be when these blooms come out. This is it's a Dendrobium hybrid. It's not what it was got as, and it starts there and goes up to there, and as you can see on this latest cane that I've grown, we've got bud, 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 and each one of those is probably going to have a minimum of 2 and probably 3 blooms, and they are absolutely enormous. Now this won't stand up. Now, what's it going to be like when those blooms come out? Absolutely ridiculous. And as you can see, the original plant, if I sort of looked at the size of the original plant, that's the size I was half expecting it to stay. I should have known better, shouldn't I? That came from Jeff's collection, incorrectly labelled unfortunately. If it had been what it was supposed to be, it would have been spectacular. As it is, it's not what it was meant to be, but it's still quite floriferous, has lots of flowers. Right. Get this all stood back up. It really is a balancing act. I have to lean one against the other. One leans on the frame of the building, and the others lean against that one, all to stop them falling over. That's the only way I can do it. And, so that's that shelf done anyway. That's all that's on that shelf. If I was doing the whole rack, there would be another 2, 4, 6 plants to do, but we've already had an introduction to this, and that's enough. The rest of the plants could make another, one shelf at a time type video, so I won't include those this time round. So anyway, that's a look at what is mostly dendrobiums. In fact, there's only one on zygo on there and the 2 brassicas, otherwise it would be all dendrobiums, and it's a top shelf. Those all need good light. The nobiles in the growing season, and probably the Latoria types, don't need bright light to grow. But the nobiles certainly need the bright light to trigger the blooms, along with a bit of a cool down. But the hybrids probably bloom without it. Right, there we go then. Thanks for dropping by, and you've got the schedule for the weekend, which I will try and stick to, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.